Today we are reading Amphoreus Trailblaze Log, a journal compiled by Dan Heng in his spare time. It records what he has experienced so far during his time in Amphoreus. This collectible can be found starting from the Hall of Respite Space Anchor in Eternal Holy City Akama. Each part is found on a lounge chair in your private bathhouse after completing the main story. Part 1. The Express suffered an attack from an unknown source, and we were forced to make an emergency stop at an unknown location that looked like a temple. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries. Looking at the buildings in the surrounding area, we were able to make an eternal inference that this world contained civilized life. While exploring the temple, we made first contact with the people of Amphoreus. They called themselves the Chrysos Heirs, and were in the area to rescue refugees headed to the holy city of Akama. The two Amphoreans were quite remarkable. The Chrysos heir named Tribi was able to use a mysterious power of space-time replication to repair buildings. The Chrysos heir, Phainon, boasted remarkable martial art prowess, breaking my lance with a single strike. We rushed to the holy city with the refugees, but the Strife Titan Nikador happened to launch a surprise attack upon our arrival. The Titans are the gods worshipped by the Amphoreans. It is currently unknown as to whether they have any relation to the Eons. The Titankin of Nikador are extremely ferocious. With the situation looking dire, we offered our assistance to Phainon. We defeated every Titankin that stood in our paths, protected the citizens, and finally faced the body of Nikador alongside Phainon. Throughout this process, we came to meet Chrysos heirs known as Mighty and Castoris. Mighty's martial arts skill was similar to that of Phainon, and Castoris was able to take life of others through a simple touch. It seems that the Nikador who took part in this attack was just one of the many manifestations of the Strife Titan. Phainon was unable to obtain the crucial core flame that they spoke of. The leader of the Chrysos heirs, Aglaia, took us to the Marmoreal Palace and had the Bath Sprite tell us the history of Amphoreus. We learned that the 12 Titans created Amphoreus, but that this world was now under threat of extermination. The Titans have lost their minds, and the Chrysos heirs must defeat them one by one to light the core flames and save Amphoreus. Aglaia also wields a remarkable ability. Her golden thread had the ability to read people's minds. She made a strange request for us. Do not expose our identity as visitors from beyond the sky to the people of Akama. The holy city of Akama is the only place of eternal daytime in this world of apocalyptic night. We explored the city and came to learn of the local customs, as well as collecting reliable information. However, March 7th's picture was unexpectedly leaked. Not only did this lead to her being hailed as the Rosy Celestial Maiden by the Akaman citizenry, it almost led to fatalities. However, we were able to rescue this citizen who was hell-bent on exploring the skies at the cost of exposing our identities as guests from beyond the sky. Unfortunately, this meant betraying our promise to Aglaia. In the end, our luck ran out. The golden thread of Aglaia spreads across all of Akama, and news of these decisions eventually reached her ears. The leader of the Chrysos heirs finally exposed her ruthless and unfeeling side, threatening our lives and asking us again why we came to Amphoreus. Though we passed her examination, our impression of Amphoreus had dropped considerably, and we even considered leaving for a new destination. However, as we followed Phainon and learned of the Chrysos heirs' brutal journey to save their world, we finally decided to remain in Amphoreus. After some recovery, the Chrysos heirs reconvened once more. They prepared to begin a crusade against Castrum Kremnos, the city in which Nikador was located, and steal the core flame of the Lance of Fury. The Trailblazer, Phainon, and Mighty all came to Castrum Kremnos, the once war-obsessed city that used to be filled with the sounds of blades and battle, had now become a gloomy wasteland. Now the insane Nikador loomed somewhere in the depths of this moving fortress. While exploring Castrum Kremnos, the Trailblazer and the others learned that Nikador had long since hatched a plan for a terrible attack on Akama. They successfully fought their way to Nikador. However, they unexpectedly discovered that the Titan that was once known for their glory had at some point forged himself an immortal body and was trying to wield the Blade of Fury to pierce Akama from afar. In this moment of crisis, Mighty managed to restrain Nikador alone as the others returned to Akuma to discuss a way to foil Nikador's plans. Castoris discovered that Nikador's immortal body came from their betrayal of death. In order to break this riddle that had long been buried in time, we headed to the Temple of the Three Fates located in the Abyss, and attempted to use the powers of Orynyx to replicate the past. However, Orynyx did not seem to welcome us. In fact, they attempted to stop us from reaching the temple depths using various puzzles and challenges. Their final puzzle was to find something heavier than the world's destiny. We were able to pass this test with the help of March 7th's camera and a little trickery. However, although we made it to Orynyx's location, the Time Titan still refused to provide their assistance. Considering that time was running out to rescue Mighty, Phynon considered just killing the Titan and taking the core flame by force. Just as tensions were reaching a peak, Orynyx's attitude seemed to change when they laid eyes on the Trailblazer. According to the Trailblazer, Orynyx showed him a memory of the Stellaron Hunters. It was a memory that logically should not exist, yet it was extremely vivid. Inside this non-existent memory, the Trailblazer happened to catch the gaze of the Eon of Remembrance Fuli. Perhaps it was a gift from Orynyx, but at that moment, a mysterious creature named Mim appeared at his side. Though he suddenly seemed to grow somber, he fortunately snapped out of it quickly. Having returned from the Abyss, we split up once again. Phynon and I went on to assist Mighty in his perilous battle. The Trailblazer, on the other hand, used the power gifted to them by Orynyx to collect memory fragments and find a way to visit the Castrum Krymnos of the past. With Castoris by their side, they would find a way to undo Nikador's immortality. At the same time, Aglaya was getting to work in Akuma dealing with Nikador's infiltration. Having collected the memory fragments and successfully opened the gate to Castrum Krymnos' past, the Trailblazer arrived in the ancient city. When they arrived, they discovered that the Krymnos festival was in full swing, and Nikador's descent into madness was just the beginning. The city was yet still lively and bustling. In order to ensure the success of their plan, Castoris and the Trailblazer decided to blend in with the festival and ended up forming a three-man team with a Tacturn gladiator named Neus, before heading deeper into the city. Collecting intel as they advanced, they vowed to restore Nikador's fractured mind, stop the birth of their immortal body, and restore the honor of the Strife Titan. What no one expected was that Neus was actually a part of Nikador. Having learned of the suffering that awaits in the future, he fearlessly allowed himself to be integrated into Nikador's corrupted soul and made them whole again. Though we were able to undo their immortality, this also meant that the Titans stood before us in their ultimate form. After a grueling battle, the Lance of Fury Nikador came to an end with the Chrysos Heir's victory. After returning to Akuma and taking some time to recover, we witnessed the return of the core flame of Nikador. Phynon bid us a brief farewell before entering the Vortex of Genesis to undergo the trial of the Strife Titan's core flame. Through this trial, Phynon would obtain the powers of a demigod, while taking on the role of the corresponding Titan. I wish him success in this endeavor. Part 2. It has been a long time since Phynon entered the Vortex of Genesis for the Strife Titan, leaving all Chrysos heirs deeply concerned. When crisis struck during Phynon's core flame trial, as we waited anxiously, we made the snap decision to join Castoris and Mighty in rescuing Phynon from possible peril. The Trailblazer and I became separated in this illusion. The Trailblazer told me that he traveled with Mighty and had seen the man's deepest fear, which was the blood-soaked glory of the Krymnos. As for me, I saw some visages of past lives too. Who would have thought that the trial of the Strife would be a battle against your inner demons? It seems that Nikador, the Strife Titan, is not the mad and tactless god told in legends. We finally met up in the illusion of the trial after some fighting, and found Phynon by following the sounds of battle to the source of strife. The man had almost lost control of himself due to the demons in his heart, and we saved him and extracted him from the trial. The failure of Phynon's core flame trial means that the responsibility of bearing Nikador's divinity now falls to the lone crown prince of Krymnos, Mighty the Chrysos heir. Yet, even as the orthodox heir to strife, Mighty seems to have an absurd extent of hesitation and objection to accepting the god's authority. After ensuring Finon's safety, the Trailblazer and I retreated to the bath chamber to rest. We also drew our own conclusions about the present situation in the world of Amphoreus. The development of this world is entirely too bizarre. Neither the Titans nor the Black Tide seem like characteristics that should be present in a culture that developed organically. However, various signs point to the Stellaron not being the mastermind behind it all. The puzzles in this world require more trailblazing to explore and reveal. Aglaia demonstrated genuine gratitude towards us for helping to defeat Nikador. She prepared a generous gift and invited the Trailblazer and I to a discussion at the Hero's Bath, where she indicated she would like to ally with us. As we discussed the matter, we met Hyacine from the Twilight Courtyard, a healer who had concluded her work trip in Akama. With Aglaia's suggestion, the Trailblazer and Castoris decided to go to the Grove together with this new friend and complete the diplomatic tasks given to them by Aglaia. I will instead stay at Akama and tidy my notes. However, this trip to the Grove by the Trailblazer is not as peaceful as we had imagined. As they were about to head out, Trian found someone at Akama's outskirts who was wounded by the Black Tide and in critical condition. Hyacine had to temporarily remain in Akama to look after this patient, while Trian, Castoris, and the Trailblazer went ahead to the Grove of Epiphany, an esteemed academic institution worshipping Circes, the Reason Titan. However, when the three of them arrived at their destination, the Grove had long sunk into an eerie silence. The Trailblazer and the others took some effort to enter the Grove only to discover that something was wrong in that place. The creatures of the Black Tide were wandering everywhere within the Grove. I fear that the Grove is unlikely to survive unscathed after this calamity. A man named Anaxagoras was among the crisis heirs stationed at the Grove, and he had left clues via alchemy and guided the Trailblazers group into the depths of the Grove to check on Circe's core flame. While they explored the location, they encountered a mysterious individual calling themselves Calypso. That person claimed to be the head of the Grove of Epiphany's 7 sages and had saved Anaxagoras. However, after careful observation, Castoris exposed Calypso's true identity as Circes, the Reason Titan. Circes admitted to this and asked the Trailblazers group to help them reach Anaxagoras, so they could fuse the core flame again to catch the culprit behind the annihilation of the Grove, the nameless black-robed sword master. After an intense battle, the Trailblazers group safely returned to Akama with Anaxagoras, and I learned about what happened at the Grove from Finon. In fact, Finon seemed rather odd when he mentioned that black-robed sword master. It was as if he had some history with that individual. Perhaps he will explain that connection to everyone in the future. I can hardly believe it, but a Kremnoan named Krateros abducted Trinon and tried to enter the Vortex of Genesis to accept Strife's trial. He failed and was apprehended on the spot by Aglaia. No wonder Mighty had been so hesitant on the subject of accepting the authority of Strife. Troubles remain within the Kremnoans as a people. Troubles that have not been solved. As to what those troubles are, I fear only Mighty would know. Meanwhile, despite being abducted, Trinon expressed her understanding towards Krateros' anxiety. She decided to borrow Ornyx's power to restore Krateros' memories from ages past to soothe his unease. While at the Abyss, the 3 Tribi ladies encountered the black-robed swordmaster who destroyed the Grove, the Flame Reaver. At the cost of exhausting her divine power, Trian sent Tribi and Trinon away from the battlefield. The heroes in the city then met up, after which we decided to split up. Hyacine and I went to look for Trian's whereabouts, while Aglaia and Castoris remained in the city to prepare for a political crisis. The others prepared their strategies and headed to Castrum Krymnos to stop the Flame Reaver together. The crisis heirs must all give their all when facing this unknown foe. During this time, Mighty finally made up his mind and successfully passed the trial of the core flame, ascending into the demigod of strife and making a lance throw that decided the battle's outcome at Castrum Krymnos, defeating the Flame Reaver completely. This campaign ended with the Chrysos Heir's triumph. Mighty opted to return home alone and inherit the duty of fighting back Black Tide from Nikodor, becoming the shield of Akama and of all Amphoreus. Though we won the fight against the Flame Reaver, we lost Trian forever. At Trian's funeral, Finon made a request to Tribi, hoping to witness the moment she first embarked on her flame chase journey. With the power of the Trailblazer, they journeyed to the past of the Abyss of Fate, to the Sanctum of Prophecy, Yannisopolis. There they witnessed how Tribios took the core flame of passage, received Yannis's divinity, and fled this sanctum of tripartite prophecy that had held her captive for decades to pursue her destiny. I'm not sure whether they were influenced by the beliefs of the Chrysos heirs, but the Trailblazer and Mim have volunteered to accept the trial of Orynyx, the Time Titan. Though they are just passerby, they are willing to connect their destiny with that of the world that they are traveling through. Perhaps this is Trailblaze's inescapable fate.